12 championship matches out of 13 tournaments. Let that sink in. Carlos Alcaraz just dismantled the defending king, Andrei Rublev. That marks his 5th consecutive victory over the Russian. But honestly, the match is just noise compared to a statistic that defies logic. Not Roger Federer, not Rafa Nadal, not even Novak Djokovic at his absolute zenith managed a run like this. Yet here stands a 22-year-old rewriting history. It took 6 grueling championship points to finally seal the deal. He squandered 3 of them on his own serve, teetering on the edge, but refused to fold. That is his 34th career final and his 11th straight win in 2026. Terrifyingly, he is still evolving. The data is objective, sure, but it reads like pure fiction. Carlitos is 11-0 to kick off the new year. That is a perfect record sweeping through 2 major events. First, he conquered Melbourne to bag the Australian Open, and now he is storming through Doha, 1 win away from lifting more hardware. Pull back the lens, and the dominance borders on ridiculous. He has booked a ticket to the final Sunday in 12 of his last 13 outings. There is a single blemish on that resume. 1 solitary week where he fell short of the trophy match, the 2024 ATP Finals. Even while battling sickness, he crushed Rublev in the groups before bowing out to Casper Ruud and Alexander Zverev. Digest that for a second. Across 13 high-stakes tournaments, Alcaraz made the final round 12 times. That is a 92% success rate. For perspective, the big 3 Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic usually sat between 65 and 75%, even during their God mode seasons. The Spaniard isn't just winning, he is existing on an entirely separate stratosphere of reliability. And don't think he is vulturing points at minor events to inflate his numbers. We are talking heavy hitters. 2 Grand Slams, including the US Open in 2025, massive Masters, 1-to-1,000 events, and brutal 500s like Doha. Clay, grass, hard court, it makes no difference. He is bulldozing the tour regardless of the terrain. The latest triumph over Rublev in Qatar perfectly illustrates the magic of this streak. It was anything but a cakewalk. This wasn't a highlight reel of effortless winners where sheer athleticism blew the other guy off the court. It was a trench war demanding iron will, strategy shifts, and nerves of steel. The opener was razor thin. Alcaraz was cruising at 5-3, serving for the set, then the wheels came off. 2 breaks later, Rublev was suddenly serving for it at 6-5. But Carlitos dug deep, broke immediately to force the tiebreak, and ran away with it, 7 points to 3. That is pure champion DNA, taking a haymaker to the chin and swinging back harder. Set 2 started like a procession. He sprinted to a 3-love lead, leaving the defending champ looking completely drained of belief. But Rublev refused to die. He shifted gears, leveled the score at 3-all, and turned it into a dogfight again. Alcaraz broke again to lead 5-3, holding 3 match points on his own racket. Amazingly, he fluffed every single one. Rublev capitalized, breaking back to 5-4. Suddenly, a deciding third set felt inevitable. This is the precise moment where legends are made. An average player crumbles here. They let doubt creep in, playing safe and scared. Not Alcaraz. He instantly went for the throat in the very next game. He shattered Rublev's serve to seal it 6-4, finally closing the curtain on his 6th championship point. Snapping back instantly after a failure, refusing to let the tide turn that is the signature of a predator. Rublev played his absolute best card, breaking the Spaniard when his back was against the wall. And mere minutes later, Alcaraz nullified it. You cannot coach that kind of psychological armor. It is innate. In his post-match presser, the young star analyzed his mindset with shocking maturity. He noted that to solve a puzzle, you have to operate from a place of tranquility. He admitted that anger used to blind him. When he wasn't playing perfect tennis, frustration would take over. Rage doesn't provide answers. In this tournament, he stayed zen, kept his head clear, and focused on the next ball. That specific mental state allows you to unlock the win. It is a profound admission for someone his age. It proves he knows his weakness. That fiery temper has historically been his biggest enemy on court. We have all seen the racket smashes and the screaming at his box when the shots aren't landing. That emotional roller coaster led to bad losses against underdogs because he couldn't handle his own imperfection. What we are witnessing now is a leveled-up Alcaraz, a conscious decision to embrace the chaos. Calmness breeds clarity, allowing him to tweak his game plan mid-fight. Instead of self-destructing, he finds a way out. And you can't argue with the scoreboard. 11 wins in a row, 12 finals in 13 tries. This goes way beyond physical gifts. It's a fusion of raw, God-given ability and bulletproof psychology, creating a juggernaut that feels virtually invincible on the court right now. Even the milestone itself, stepping into his 34th career final, carries the weight of history. To put that absurd pace into perspective, Rafael Nadal didn't hit that mark until 24. Roger Federer was 25. Novak Djokovic, he was 26. Alcaraz is shattering speed limits set by the legends, sending a cold shiver down the spine of the entire tour because his trajectory suggests he isn't just chasing the greats, he's overtaking them. However, getting to the big stage is one thing, closing the deal is entirely another. Out of 34 championship matches, he has hoisted the trophy 25 times. That is a 73.5% strike rate when gold is on the line, absolutely lethal. The tour is full of gifted athletes who freeze under the bright lights, but Alcaraz seems immune to the pressure that suffocates others. When he smells blood in a final, he almost always finishes the job, drawing a poetic parallel to Juan Carlos Ferrero. With this masterclass in Doha, he has officially pulled level with his mentor for the sixth most finals reached by a Spaniard in the Open era. Ferrero was no slouch. He conquered Roland Garros in 2003 and sat on the throne as world number 1. Yet, Alcaraz has equaled his lifetime achievements at the tender age of 22, and he'll likely leave that record in the dust before the season wraps. The only Spanish titans still ahead of him are legends: Rafael Nadal with 137, Manuel Orantes with 96, David Ferrer with 52, Carlos Moya with 46, and Nicolas Almagro with 37. If his body holds up, he will eclipse Almagro this very year. Give him 2 seasons, and Moya and Ferrer will likely be in the rearview mirror. Nadal stands alone, simply because 137 finals is a superhuman number, requiring nearly 2 decades of dominance. But the real jaw-dropper is the statistic of 12 finals in his last 13 events that is sustainable, terrifying consistency. We aren't watching a lucky 6-week heater. We are witnessing nearly a calendar year where he plays for the title almost every time he packs his bags. You rarely see that kind of reliability in the history of the sport. During Federer's alien peak in 2006, he made 18 finals in 20 starts. When Nadal was untouchable in 2013, he hit 14 finals in 17 events. Djokovic's monster 2015 season saw him reach 15 finals in 17 tournaments. Those are the gold standards of greatness. Sitting at 12 finals in 13 attempts, Alcaraz isn't just looking at the table, he's pulling up a chair alongside the immortals. If he keeps this engine running, he will be threatening those single-season records before the champagne pops on New Year's Eve. His dominance over Rublev tells a similar story. This was round 5, and the scorecard remains perfect for the Spaniard. He boasts a 5-0 record against the Russian, including crushing victories on the lawns of Wimbledon and the concrete of Cincinnati in 2025. Crucially, he has never dropped a match to Rublev on hard courts, the very surface where the Russian is most dangerous. That is total ownership of a top-5 talent who has stacked up multiple ATP trophies. Rublev is a heavyweight, not a punching bag. We're talking about a guy who has toppled Djokovic, claimed Masters 1000 glory, and owned Doha as a 2-time champion. Yet Alcaraz swept him aside in straight sets, even when the momentum tried to shift against him. That is the hallmark of royalty in this sport, having a solution for every problem. Now, the final showdown awaits against Arthur Fils, a 20-year-old French phenom having the week of his life in the desert. Ranked 40th globally, Fils is a live wire, flashing moments of brilliance like his upset over Djokovic in Miami last season. He is young, explosive, and playing with house money, but let's be honest, he is trying to climb Everest without oxygen. Alcaraz is sitting at 11-0 this year, riding a 29-match winning streak on outdoor hard courts that stretches back to last August. He is operating with supreme swagger, tactical genius, and a mental fortitude that breaks opponents. Plus, this is his 34th rodeo. The bright lights won't blind him. For Fils to steal this, he needs to serve like a machine, overpower the Spaniard from the baseline, and play flawless tennis for 3 hours straight. Asking for perfection against the current version of Alcaraz is basically asking for a miracle. The smart money says Alcaraz cruises to his second crown of 2026, moving to a flawless 12-0, and stretching that streak even further. That would secure 13 finals in his last 14 appearances, a stat line that borders on the absurd. But beyond this week, Alcaraz's stranglehold on the game sends a terrifying message to the locker room. Men's tennis has morphed into a duopoly between Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, who have hoarded the last 9 Grand Slams between them. The gap between them and the field is a canyon. When they enter the draw, everyone else is effectively fighting for bronze. Yet, even within this 2-horse race, the Spaniard is starting to pull ahead. Sinner stumbled against Djokovic in Australia and exited early in Doha against Jakub Mensik, admitting he is in a bit of a rut. Meanwhile, Alcaraz is devouring everything in his path, looking even sharper than he did during his triumph down under. The distance in the rankings is beginning to tell the whole story. Alcaraz has torn open a massive rift in the rankings, sitting more than 3,000 points clear of Sinner, the widest chasm since their rivalry began. If he claims the title in Doha, that lead will stretch into the stratosphere. He isn't merely holding the top spot, he is the undisputed king of the hill, occupying a summit so high that no one else can even breathe the same air. But that kind of supremacy carries a heavy weight. When perfection is your baseline, anything short of lifting the trophy on Sunday feels like a catastrophic failure. When you fight your way to 12 finals in your last 13 events, the world stops hoping for your success and starts demanding it every single time. That is a crushing burden, a relentless gravity that would buckle the knees of anyone but the absolute elite. The whispers naturally begin. How long can he keep this up? History warns us that no flame burns this bright forever without flickering. Even the Holy Trinity, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, endured seasons in the wilderness, plagued by injuries, shock losses, and weeks where the magic simply vanished. Alcaraz is not immortal. He will face those dark days too. His body will scream for rest. His explosive, joint-shredding style demands a blood price, and the mental toll of wearing the target on his back will eventually test his sanity. Hungry young prodigies are already in labs, dissecting his footage, engineering specific weapons designed to dismantle his game. Life will happen. Distractions will emerge to cloud his laser focus. All of this is written in the stars. Yet, forget the future. Right here, right now, Carlos is producing a caliber of tennis that stands shoulder to shoulder with the greatest legends ever to grace the court. 12 finals in 13 tournaments, 11 straight victories to kick off 2026, a 29-match unbeaten streak on outdoor hard courts. These aren't just statistics. These are mythical feats, metrics that align him directly with the absolute zenith of the Big Three. And he is doing all of this at just 22 years old, years away from the prime physical window of 25 to 27. He isn't winning with decades of wisdom. He is dominating while he is theoretically still a student of the game, learning on the job. That reality sends a cold shiver down the spine of every other man in the locker room. We aren't watching the finished product. We are watching a prototype that is still upgrading its armor, sharpening its sword, and hardening its mind for the battles ahead. If he is this untouchable as a work in progress, what kind of monster will walk onto the court in 3 years, fully formed and tactically masterclass? It is a terrifying thought. His triumph over Rublev revealed a crucial truth about his evolution, his total completeness. He didn't just bully the Russian off the court with brute force. When Rublev adapted, Carlos solved the puzzle. He kept his heart rate low when the serve deserted him at critical junctures. He navigated the razor's edge where the match hung in the balance. That isn't just raw talent. That is the mark of a complete gladiator. Body, technique, strategy, mind. Every cylinder is firing in a perfect symphony to manufacture championship tennis on repeat. Rublev's confession after the match said it all. I played my best, but he owned the moments that mattered. That is the simple reason he sits on the throne. When a top-tier rival admits Alcaraz simply executes better when the lights are brightest, it confirms his clutch gene. Many have the talent, few have the stomach for the fight. Carlos doesn't just endure pressure, he feeds on it. As the stakes rise, his level ascends. That specific trait is the canyon between good players and legends. It proves this isn't just a purple patch. He is forging an era in his own image. Reaching his 34th career final speaks volumes about his relentless consistency. Getting to 34 title fights requires years of excellence, not just a few hot months. You must be a chameleon, adapting to clay, grass, and concrete, while dodging the injuries that destroy careers. You must stay hungry even after you've feasted on the biggest prizes. Alcaraz has checked every one of those boxes before his 23rd birthday. Since his explosion in 2022, he has been a constant force on every surface. He has toppled every giant in his path and kept his body intact despite playing like a man on fire. And perhaps most impressively, he still hunts titles with the starvation of a rookie, even with a career Grand Slam already in his pocket. One-hit wonders shine for a season and then vanish into the shadows. Carlos has strung together multiple seasons of dominance, and the engine shows zero signs of stalling. The road ahead looks even more thrilling. With the Middle East swing, Indian Wells, and Miami on the horizon, if he holds this form, he walks into every arena as the colossal favorite. We are looking at a deluge of silverware and a stranglehold on the #1 ranking that could last for ages. The nightmare for the rest of the tour is simple. Alcaraz is still upgrading. His tweaked service motion is buying him free points. His net game has sharpened into a lethal dagger. His court IQ in the heat of battle is now genius level, as proven by his ability to stay cool and solve problems on the fly. Every single metric is pointing to the sky, and that trajectory suggests the terrifying truth. We haven't even seen his peak yet. We are witnessing the evolution of peak Alcaraz in real time, and the scary part is that he keeps getting sharper, more dominant, and virtually impossible to solve. You have to look at the history books to truly understand the gravity of this run. It is the only way to grasp just how absurdly rare this level of consistency is. Even during Roger Federer's golden era from 2004 to 2007, he had moments of brilliance, but he never locked down 12 finals in 13 events across a single season. The tour is a grinder, brutal travel, fierce competition, and even the legends had weeks where they looked human. Rafael Nadal's 2013 campaign is probably the closest parallel. He roared back from a knee injury to bag 10 titles, including 2 majors and 5 masters. But even in that god-tier season, Rafa only made 14 finals in 17 attempts. Incredible, sure, but it still falls short of the ratio Alcaraz is putting up. Then there is Novak Djokovic's 2015 masterclass. Novak took home 11 trophies and reached 15 finals out of 17 tournaments that year. That 88% finals rate was considered untouchable at the time. Well, Alcaraz is sitting at 92%, and he is not blinking. You cannot ignore the sheer physical toll required to operate in this stratosphere. Modern tennis is a war of attrition requiring explosive sprints and heavy hitting for hours. Doing that weekly without your body or mind snapping is nearly impossible. Most guys hit a wall or need a vacation to recharge from the accumulated fatigue, but Alcaraz has youth on his side. At 22 years old, his regeneration is basically a superpower. He can redline his engine week after week without the wear and tear that slows down the veterans in their late 20s or early 30s. That ability to bounce back is the secret sauce behind a level of consistency the rest of the tour can only dream of. And let's not overlook the mental steel it takes to carry this kind of burden. When you have made 12 finals in your last 13 outings, showing up for tournament number 13 is not just another week, it is a statement. The world demands another Sunday appearance. The media frenzy spikes. Opponents treat you like the final boss of a video game. That kind of spotlight usually crushes talented players. They buckle under the weight of the crown and the stress of being the target. But Carlitos? He looks like he is having fun out there. He feeds off the hype. The pressure doesn't freeze him. It unlocks his best tennis. Mix that iron mindset with his freakish athleticism and tactical genius, and you get a juggernaut that shows no signs of stopping. This is not just a hot streak or a lucky draw. This is a complete player mastering every square inch of the court. The upcoming final against Phils is his chance to stamp his authority once again. He is looking to go 12-0 on the season, snag his second trophy of 2026, push his outdoor hardcourt winning streak to 30 matches, and clock his 13th final in 14 starts. These milestones are right there for the taking. And honestly, betting against him right now feels like throwing money away. Because Carlos Alcaraz isn't just the current world number 1. He is playing a brand of tennis that forces us to ask if we are looking at one of the greatest peaks in the sport's history. 12 finals in 13 events, 34 career finals at age 22, 11 straight wins to kick off 2026. These aren't just stats on a page. We are watching a legend be forged live. And the best part? He is just warming up. The business side of this dominance is just as staggering. Tournament directors are fighting tooth and nail to book him because Alcaraz equals sold-out stadiums and skyrocketing ratings. When the guy at the top is making the final 92% of the time, every match he plays becomes appointment viewing. That stardom turns into massive appearance fees, sponsorship gold, and prize money. He is already banking some of the biggest checks in sports, but this monopoly on winning is about to send his value into orbit. Brands love a winner, and nobody on planet Earth is winning like Alcaraz. It is a nightmare for his rivals, though. The guys ranked 3 through 10 are basically fighting for leftovers when Alcaraz and Sinner are in the bracket. But with Sinner hitting a rough patch and Alcaraz playing like an alien, the landscape has shifted entirely. Right now, it is Alcaraz and then everybody else playing for runner-up. That destroys your confidence. Walking onto the court against him isn't just a physical test. You are fighting the ghost of his stats: 12 finals, 11-0 this year, 29 straight hardcourt wins. The match is practically over in your head before the umpire even calls play. Looking at the titans of other sporting arenas gives us a solid blueprint for understanding this. You had the Jordan-era Bulls, LeBron's Heat and Cavs, and the Warriors dynasty, but even those giants bled sometimes. What we are witnessing here mirrors Tiger Woods in his prime, a time when winning was the baseline and anything else was a disaster. That is the suffocating standard of perfection he has imposed on himself. Making 12 finals in 13 tries means a semi-final exit feels like a failure, and losing early is a full-blown crisis. That is the heavy price of greatness. You raise the bar until clearing it. Every single day feels nearly impossible, yet he keeps pushing it higher, using a cool head to solve problems, proving his mental armor is catching up to his talent. The tweaks to his service motion prove he is still obsessed with sharpening his technical edge. His evolving tactics suggest he is still a student of the game, meaning we have not even glimpsed his final form. You also have to tip your cap to the squad working behind the scenes to keep this machine running. Coach Samuel Lopez has refined the strategy, without dulling the aggressive blade that makes the kid so dangerous. Fitness guru Juanjo Moreno ensures his physique can actually survive the brutal punishment he puts it through. Sports psychologist Josefina Cutilas builds the mental fortitude to handle the spotlight. That infrastructure is the secret sauce. Nobody stays on top of the mountain by themselves. It takes a village to handle the feedback, recovery, and planning that lets you perform like a god every week, and he has that box checked. The way they map out his calendar is just as critical. They pick their battles with surgical precision, banking points while keeping his legs fresh for the ones that really matter. Walking that tightrope between match sharpness and rest is the only way to dodge burnout. It is working like a charm so far. He is fit, his head is clear, and his tennis is untouchable. The real question is whether they can keep this up for a decade, or if the blueprint changes as the mileage adds up. We also have to talk about what this reign of terror does to the sport of tennis itself. Total dominance might kill the suspense, but it builds mythology, and the casual crowd absolutely eats that up. People tune in to witness history, and even the diehards have to respect the mastery on display. His supremacy is grabbing eyeballs right when the game is desperate for a new king. Federer and Rafa are gone, Novak is 38 and fading, and Andy is a memory. Tennis needed a new face to carry the torch, and this kid is running with it. This is not boring, grinded-out defense. He plays electric, creative tennis that belongs on a highlight reel. Even when he is crushing people, it is must-see TV. That mix of entertainment and historic dominance is a dream come true for the sponsors. Now consider the weight on Arthur Phil's shoulders, stepping onto the court for the biggest match of his life against a ghost. It is a terrifying mountain to climb, but also a golden ticket. If he somehow slays the dragon, it defines his career and rockets him into the elite tier. But let's be real, the Spaniard rarely drops the ball when a trophy is within reach. He converts over 73% of his finals, and most of those losses happened when he was still a rookie. In this mode, against anyone outside the top 5, he is virtually bulletproof. Phils needs to play the match of his life while praying the favorite forgets how to hit a ball. Miracles happen, but expect a straight sets clinic that extends the winning streak yet again. That would move him to 12-0 for 2026, tying his hottest start ever. It secures his 35th final, leaping past Ferrero to claim 6th place in Spanish history. It pushes his outdoor hardcourt streak to 30 matches, approaching the kind of surface dominance Rafa owned on clay. All these milestones are right there, achievements that seemed laughable months ago but are now just another Tuesday. He is completely rewriting the rulebook for what a 22-year-old can do. We are watching history unfold, and the scary part is the trajectory points even higher. The job for his team now is keeping the train on the tracks without blowing the engine, because eventually, the math says he has to lose, and the media storm will be deafening when he does. Is the reign of Alcaraz officially over? Expect that very headline to splash across the world the moment he exits a quarterfinal, breaking a streak of nearly 15 events. Such is the heavy burden of brilliance. One solitary slip-up is immediately branded as a total disaster. It will be up to his inner circle to silence that chaos, ensuring he chases legacy rather than getting spooked by a bad week. Yet, those bridges are for another day. Right here and now, take a breath and respect the history unfolding before our eyes. Reaching 12 finals and 13 appearances is a feat we may never see duplicated. We are likely staring at the absolute zenith of the sport, a benchmark that will haunt the next generation. But here's the real thriller. He has barely even warmed up,